So I don't know if you guys have been seeing it on your For You pages, but obviously there's conversations about Cynthia and Ariana and some confusion about the role they play in each other's life and also sort of the way the conversation around their relationship is being depicted. So just as a refresher, before we jump in to the whole story, this went viral the last week or so. So they're signing for Wicked. And this guy who's known for harassing superstars found his way through security and onto Ariana, and Cynthia goes and pushes him away. Okay. Okay, and Cynthia is protective. She's guarding Ariana. She's shielding her. Okay. And a lot of people at first were like, this is beautiful. We love to see a queen supporting a queen. We love to see it, but also security failed. So Cynthia should never have been in that position. Ariana should never have been in that position. I don't know how this man has done it to so many people. He's done it to The Weeknd. He's done it to Katy Perry. Like, what are we doing here? And apparently he was arrested and let go. It's very annoying, okay? Now, people have also been shipping Ariana and Cynthia, which is very interesting since from my limited understanding, and I know if Ariana fans are in the comments section, okay, from my understanding, Cynthia has been in a long-term lesbian relationship with her partner for like 5-6 years. Okay, from my understanding, it did start with infidelity. Ariana was dating the ginger, but the redheaded guy and her are broken up apparently, which also started with a form of infidelity. Okay, now people have been shipping them, Cynthia and Ariana, because of the way they're kind of like all over each other. So it's been kind of a meme. Like if you just, I Googled Ariana and Cynthia and boom, like, look, the photos are fantastic. The fashion is fantastic, right? Like all of this stuff is fantastic. It looks like the branding is branding. Okay. And if you think about Wicked and the Glinda and Elphaba and you think about the situation, it's obviously really good for the brand, right? Because they're just like together, but some people feel like they do too much. Okay. Like they're doing too much and it's weird. Now, there's one part of it that I think is interesting, which is the Chadwick Boseman of it all. God rest his soul. So people feel like, what if she's sick? And what if you're disrespecting her by like not understanding that Cynthia might know something we don't know? So now there's all these conspiracy theories. Like, are they in love? Or is Ariana actually ill? And because she's sick, Cynthia is doing, quote, too much, right? So I'm just going to show you a bunch of TikToks. I would love to know your thoughts. And then we'll get into really the uproar this week, which has been, I'll just give you a preview. Black women have been concerned and upset that Cynthia is being basically like masculinized as the protector and as the man, and Ariana isn't. But we're going to get into that because remember, we're dealing with an overlap of queerness and an overlap of like a little bit of like trauma, right? So let's talk about it. So here's the first video I want to show you.
Bothering her. She's gonna fix something. I know.
Sorry.
She's getting the fixing itch.
It's like
that Cynthia Erivo
right.
gets.
It's not there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because the thing is.
Biggest pinch me.
I can't quite put my finger on it. No.
Popular. Can you believe that we're doing that? It's gonna be so great. That joy he wanted to infuse in every frame.
The necklace didn't need fixing. The arm didn't need touching or grabbing. Something isn't right with these two. I fear Ariana may be held against her will in this friendship. Maybe she's scared of Cynthia.
I didn't think about that. I didn't watch all these videos through yet. I just collected them. I only watched the first like 30 seconds or 20 seconds alone. And then I go, okay, I'll use this video for stream. But like, I didn't even hear the conspiracy theory that Ariana was being held captive. What?
Maybe she's scared to speak up. She doesn't want to hurt her feelings. I don't know, but something's not right. Or maybe, just maybe, they're in a secret, not so secret relationship. Something's just not right. Y'all gonna say, oh, you hating on the friendship? You never had a real friend? I've had real friends and they don't do this. They're not all touchy. They're not all bothered when somebody else comes and touches them. I'm not talking about the guy that jumped on Ari. That was wrong. But something just doesn't seem right. I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I can't be the only one that feels this way. I know for a fact I'm not the only one that feels this way.
Okay, so, okay. Now, this is a meme. Like, this is a joke. Because if you've seen Cynthia and Ariana do interviews, they're like all over each other. It's very like gay. And it's funny that people see them. Listen, I'm going to be real with you. They are overly affectionate for the typical average person. Okay? I'm not saying they are overly affectionate. Like, most of my straight girlfriends do not touch the way that Ariana and Cynthia touch, but a lot of my queer friends do. So I'm not sure if it's queer of them or weird of them. Okay, here's a joke.
With the roles.
It says Cynthia and Ariana in an interview.
I think that should be studied.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Dayton, Ohio.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Dayton, Ohio.
Did I say something wrong?
It has been an honor to stand by Cynthia during this hard time. I mean, her battling cancer.
Oh no, I'm just bold.
I'm sorry, I'm a little hungry.
Oh, she's hungry. This is okay.
No! Oh no.
She knows everything. She even knows. She understands the black experience. I don't think you understand. She's a chameleon. She's a shapeshifter. She knows more about being black than I would say even I do.
You need to go potty. Okay, love you. Mwah. I love you.
And nobody and all of
Girl, you know I hate that.
Damn, bro. Okay, so obviously, like, the jokes are there for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So they're a little weird. Okay, they're a little fucking weird. Okay, so then the story continues. Okay, here's this girl.
Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo love each other.
And I love you. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because it gets funnier when you're like, okay, like, you guys are interested, you know, and they're doing it, I think, because people talk about it. Like, I feel like Disney's like, this is great. Or no, not Disney. Sorry. Who made Wicked? Whoever made Wicked, they're like, yes, keep that up because people love it and they're talking about it. Right? That's what I think it mostly probably is.
Yeah. Ariana has exhibited the same bizarre, obsessive behaviors towards Cynthia as Cynthia has to her. I mean, we all remember the finger thing, right?
I didn't know that was happening.
Their friendship is beautiful and deep and weird, but from what we've known from them, Cynthia jumping in when Ariana was grabbed was not weird. That's what friends do. That's even what acquaintances would do. And Black women are allowed to be friends with people. Do I agree that Black women are expected to be everyone's savior and it's exhausting? Yes. Do I think that's what happened here? No. Can I for sure say that Ariana would have done the same for Cynthia? No. But what I can say is, just a few weeks ago, a Black woman got a glass smashed on her head in front of both of those women, and both of those women jumped in to help that Black woman. They comforted her and they made her feel better.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This was fucked up. It was apparently an accident, but this is like how, like, that must have felt really embarrassing.
A woman got a glass smashed on her head in front of both of those women, and both of those women jumped in to help that Black woman. They comforted her and they made her feel better.
I don't think she didn't get smashed on her head. She got it dropped on her head. I just feel like, right? Like, they had their stupid gloved hand on and they were trying to like be like this in the camera, like, oh, look at this champagne, and it slipped and hit her in the head and then it fell to the ground. Okay, like, saying it was smashed means like it was like an assault, right? It was an accident. It's an embarrassing accident. How devastating. It's in her hair. Like, there's so many layers of it that are horrible. But like, you know. And look, hold on. Is this a Black woman who did it? I can't tell.
Are you okay?
Yeah, that's horrible.
And not to be parasocial, but everything I know of Ariana Grande shows that she's a deeply compassionate person that cares a lot about the people around her.
Okay, well, I don't know about that girl because she kind of homewrecker. Like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if we're gonna go, like, listen, with peace and love, I don't know if we needed to go like that far and defend Ariana. Like, she's the greatest person ever. Like, I'm not gonna do that on my stream, given her track record, but like, okay.
And she's also been through a lot. And believe it or not, I do think you can be so woke that you're being a little bit unfair. Like, seriously, what was Cynthia Erivo supposed to do? Her best friend got bum rushed. And it kind of feels like no matter what Black women do, even when people are trying to be defensive of them, they're still being scrutinized.
Okay, so that's one perspective. I think there's something there. I don't like the Ariana like fandom coming, you know what I mean? Like I can't defend Ariana, right? I cannot defend. And look, Ariana's done a total rebrand. Like I understand this. Like her rebrand has been crazy. She does this every few years. You know, the way that she utilized AAVE and Black aesthetic to boost herself in the charts is like obvious, right? Like she obviously took advantage of, I think, I don't want to say like, wow, I don't know what the right word is, the Black community. Like she took advantage of Blackness to rise in fame. So I guess it feels like really icky for people to look at Ariana and be like, what are you doing now? And now it feels like she's doing that through Cynthia a little bit to people, which I think is pretty valid. I mean, Ariana's not innocent. You know what I mean? She didn't, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what she's going through. She might be sick, and my empathy, but like also I think we can't forget that Ariana did, you know, what she did. Okay, next video.
Need to stop hyper masculinizing Cynthia Erivo. It reflects your anti-Blackness and your tendency to hyper masculinize Black women and think that they need to protect the smaller, more fragile white woman. It's definitely giving mommification. It's definitely giving sapphire trope. It's giving all of the bad stereotypes of Black women that we're trying to do away with, and you guys need to chill. Yes, it's amazing that Cynthia and Ariana have a close relationship and that Cynthia stepped in when Ariana was facing a vulnerable moment with the fan attacking her. That's all wonderful, and nobody is saying that is bad. What is bad is that you guys are literally straight up just masculinizing Cynthia. You guys are calling her the man, her bodyguard, just putting her in this like weird masculinizing position. And the gag is that this is just the climax of it, but you guys were kind of doing this since the start of this. Like even in the Wicked fandom itself, Cynthia, who plays Elphaba, even though Elphaba is clearly a femme and Glinda and Elphaba is clearly like a femme for femme sapphic relationship, you guys, so many of you guys will make fan art, make all kinds of fandom material that makes Elphaba the mask in the situation when she's literally not a mask and she's a femme and it's a femme for femme relationship. There are ways to think that what Cynthia did for Ariana was brave and cool and important while not defaulting to horrible tropes about Black women being more masculine, because it just implies that we are not to be protected, that we can fend for ourselves, and that we are supposed to be the bodyguards of everyone when we are the most disrespected and we are the most unprotected, and people should be protecting us.
Okay, so I just want to put some context into this because I think like for a lot of us, it's really difficult because Cynthia represents strength, because Cynthia, I don't know if you know this about Cynthia or people know this about Cynthia. Do they know she's a lesbian? And though she's femme, she's like femme mask. I would not say Cynthia is purely femme because she holds a lot of like, well, feminine people can be masculine, but she's also a gym girly. Check this out. Like literally goals, bro. Like literally goals. 100%. Look at her go. Like in the gym bubble, she's amazing. Look at her go. You have no idea how hard this is.
Nice. Good.
So like, okay, in the gym girly bubble, like we're very big fans of her because she's so fucking skilled and she's so beautiful and she's so great. I do consider her pretty like femme mask in the same way that I consider myself femme mask. So we fluctuate between two worlds where like, you know what I mean? So I identify a lot with her aesthetic, but yet I understand that, you know, people might see me and present me in a particular way, but I really like Cynthia's aesthetic. But I can also see why maybe like straight women or maybe people outside of that view Cynthia protecting Ariana. And look, a lot of it is branding. I think Black women are completely valid in their hesitation and suspicion about the masculinization of Cynthia. I think that's really, really valid. And I do think there's something insidious happening in some of this. Like, I see some insidiousness happening. So I think they're really, really valid in questioning like the way people see Cynthia and the way people are treating Cynthia next to Ariana. So I do want to validate that, of course. Okay. And Chad said, are you familiar with Cynthia's current relationship? I am familiar a little bit, but not really. I know it's the comedian lady, right? Cynthia, let me bring up a picture because you know her face. I think didn't she voice some characters, and then wasn't she married when she met Cynthia? Wasn't there? I heard there was infidelity, from my understanding. But they've been in a partnership for Lena. Yeah, Lena White, is that her name? Isn't she a comedian and a voice actress? Didn't she voice the first lesbian character in that Disney movie? Isn't that her? Oh, this is a horrible. Let me see if I can bring up a better. Yeah, isn't she the same person? Or am I thinking of somebody else? So this is them together. Okay, and her partner is much more masculine presenting, right? I don't know if she identifies as a stud or mask. I don't know what their identifier is, but they're obviously, you know, Cynthia's showing up more femme, technically, next to her partner, but also like there's a masculinity to femininity that isn't a threat to the femininity, right? So I think that's really important. You know what I mean? I don't know what you guys feel about that, but from a queer perspective, there's nothing wrong with being feminine and masculine because those are two complementary things, and everyone encompasses feminine and masculine conversations, right? Or energies, sorry, not conversations, but energies, right? So I guess it depends on if you're offended at the idea of being masculine. Now, you guys know my gender deconstruction journey has been very interesting, where when I was a kid and misgendered as a man, it would really hurt my feelings. I tried so hard to be feminine because I spent so much of my life dressing in boy clothes and dressing more masculine and being more masculine. And I was really, really comfortable in that masculinity. And then now that I'm older, now I'm like, when you guys feel like, oh, I came as boy Brittany today, I feel very complimented. I want to be bigger. I want to be more muscular. I like have these goals of wanting to be more in my masculine. And so like, I really feel validated by those comments. But also like, I think that sometimes I just can't tell if some people's reactions to this are like, they're valid, but they're wrapped also in some of our trauma, right? Like this idea of, you know, Black women are masculinized, and also because she's a gay woman, and I would say maybe even a queer woman, maybe being masculine isn't offensive, right? Like, so like there's a little bit of like, I'm not sure how much of this is like you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Okay. Discord said she has an androgyny to her though. She does lean more femme. Yeah, for sure. I think so. But again, look at this video I'm about to show you. I'm so sorry. Femme women do not build muscle. It literally creates a masculine persona. So her decision to be very masculine, like in her muscle presentation, for me screams comfortability in the masculine. Check this out. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I certainly think about building muscle to be more masculine, not less. You know, and Ariana would never build muscle because it would make her look more masculine and not more femme. So what do you guys think?
And the Wicked for Good cast are in Singapore for the premiere, and bitch, do you see this body? Please just look at the definition of this body. Oh my God. Oh my God. I've been influenced, but you know how much work this takes. I've never even been here before. Look at her, she's so hot. Meanwhile, at the actual premiere, this is what that body was doing. You take one more motherfucking step and I'ma kill you. As she protected dear Ariana Grande once, that one fan who apparently jumps all barricades, jumped a barricade to try and get his hands on her. And poor Ari just like disassociated. She's been through a lot, actually, if you think about it. There was that one concert that she did in Manchester where there was a bombing, and then she just stopped performing for a really long time. So I think anything of a grand surprise is just not good for her. I also just want to go back to these arms. If this was not at a red carpet, I am pretty sure Cynthia would have knocked the shit out of that man. Cynthia is also on the cover of British GQ for their Men of the Year issue. We should have known when this picture came out that she is going to smack a bitch one of these days. Look at her fighting crime, trying to. I'm gonna need every personal trainer in Cape Town
who believes they can transform me into this to get in touch with me, because I never had this as an attainable goal. But I feel like if I don't look like this, cancel summer. I'm truly in awe. I've never seen such a strong, sexy woman in my life. I'm going to need the people in my life to defend me like this. But you know what? This is exactly what my followers were doing for me over the last week. And I thank y'all. I thank y'all, my babies.
Okay, so, there was some like, I really liked the photo shoot. I thought it was really well done. I really liked the way it went. Now, I did not realize, because when I first heard she was Man of the Year on GQ, I was like confused. But apparently it's not uncommon. Apparently there are tons of women who have been chosen over and over again to be on the cover of GQ Men of the Year. I didn't know this. And so I found this TikTok because I don't follow GQ like that. But here we go.
Acting like it's crazy for Cynthia Erivo. Why is everyone acting like it's crazy for Cynthia Erivo to be on the cover of GQ's Man of the Year issue when Jennifer Aniston was in 2005, Scarlett Johansson was in 2010, Mila Kunis in 2011, and Rihanna in 2012, Shailene Woodley in 2014, Gal Gadot in 2017, Serena Williams in 2018, Jennifer Lopez in 2019, Megan Thee Stallion in 2020, and Nicole Kidman in 2024. Last year. And if someone's like, oh, well, she was on the British issue, so is Cynthia Erivo. It's almost like people are pretending this is an unusual thing so they can blow it out of proportion and get views. And the thing is, I'm sure that if you want to know why each of these women were on the cover of these issues, there is probably an article in the actual magazine explaining it. I haven't read them because I don't care, but a lot of you seem like you do care. So you might want to do that instead of watching clickbait videos trying to trick you into thinking this is somehow unusual for this magazine.
Okay, now he did have to make an edit to this post because Black women were like, hey, you're being fucking insensitive. And he's like, you're right, I am. I'm so sorry. And so he did like comments in the comment section about like, this one here, it's mainly being cautious. Black women, especially dark-skinned Black women, are often portrayed as masculine and unattractive for it. So he hearted it. He did make an edit to his video saying like, just to be clear, this is about the way Cynthia is being treated. And obviously he should have taken into consideration the trauma in relation to being a Black woman. So I think there's something in there that I think is like very important. Let's see. Discord says, to be honest, or to be frank, I don't understand how muscle equal masculinity, as if feminine activities didn't require muscles. Like a baby is quite heavy. I can't tell. Okay, guys. First, there's nothing wrong with being masculine, and there's nothing wrong with being feminine. And also, I don't know, it feels like sometimes we're trying to be afraid of being masculine. So then we're like, carrying a baby is heavy, which I hear you, chat. I hear you. And also, it doesn't require that much muscle to carry a baby. I've never had to go lift weights to carry a baby. Okay? Like, most people can carry babies without lifting weights. But Cynthia does lift weights. She's literally athletic. And I think it's fair to say that most athletic people tend to be a little bit more masculine because they're building muscle. You know what I mean? Like, if I was to try to be more masculine, I would literally build muscle, right? So it's like this conversation around like being masculine and being strong. Like you can be feminine and strong, or you can be masculine and strong, but they look different. The feeling is different. The energy is different, right? So I feel like there's something to be said where like, I don't want to discount the masculinity. There's nothing wrong with being masculine. If you've deconstructed gender, if you haven't deconstructed, then it might feel offensive or hurtful to feel like people see you as masculine when you're trying so hard to be feminine. Because some people want to be really, really feminine and could never pull it off because they are born into like masculine presenting bodies. And then people are like, well, what does that mean? Some people associate femininity with that Europe-centric, daintiness that Ariana purposely exhibits, on purpose. And I think that's what can feel hurtful because Cynthia is also really dainty and really small, but also, again, like the muscles kind of changes that aesthetic, right? Discord said there's a big difference between choosing masculinity in your aesthetic, which not everyone does, or just having muscle, which everyone does. You showed Lean Beef Patty. Lean Beef Patty is a really good example of a masculine, feminine girly. But Lean Beef Patty is masculine. She's just feminine mask. And I would argue Cynthia is either mask feminine or feminine mask, depending on how she's presenting. But she's so dominant in her energy. Energy is also a big part of it. Lean Beef Patty very not masculine in her energy, just in her aesthetic. Cynthia, masculine in her energy, but not in her femininity. Femininity in this context would be that association with like daintedness and like, yes, power, but not power. Ariana does not exhibit power in her new aesthetic. She used to. P.S. Ariana used to be femme powerful, but decided not to, which exhibits some level of masculinity. But Ariana doesn't do that anymore. Ariana used to literally be in her feminine power, but let me see. Ariana dancing. Let me see if I can show you. I found this edit.
You could do like a little dance move.
She ride like a carnival.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the same girl, but they're not the same girl, are they? They're not the same girl. Chad says, why is dominance equal masculinity? It doesn't. You can be dominant feminine, but there is like a toppiness to it. Do you guys remember Sinbad? I know this is so stupid, but it's my favorite. She's my favorite baddie. She's my favorite. I love her. Do you guys remember her? Do you remember her? Okay. She's obviously in her feminine. She's obviously in her toppiness. And there is a level of like kind of femme masculinity to it, right? There's a dominance to it. Right? It's not that masculinity has to be. It's just that, because you could be masculine bottom, you could be masculine femme, you could be masculine pensive, but power plus masculinity creates a different dominance relationship. You can be masculine and a bottom and have no dominant power, right? So you can be like femme dominant, but like, you know what I'm saying? So also we have to think about bubbles and how we use the language, right? Like in Arab culture, in West Asian culture, men are highly groomed, very, very groomed. Okay. Hygiene is very, very important. And you could argue hygiene is feminine, right? And in America, non-hygiene is masculine. Not brushing your teeth and having like rough hands is like masculine. Being disheveled, not caring what you look like, burping, farting, masculine. But in like West Asian culture, that's gross. Masculinity is a part of the mixture of the femininity of having a lined beard, getting your brows done. I can't tell you how many of my brothers go get my brothers get their eyebrows threaded. Hello? Like, you know, that's just so, again, when we have these conversations, we have to think of the cultural implications, which is why I say Cynthia being in a gay relationship, I think matters. Because if straight women are getting offended at the masculinization of Cynthia, but Cynthia's a gay woman who's like, you know what I mean, a gym girly, then she might not be having the same relationship to the masculinity perspective that a straight woman might be having. So it's dependent on the bubble, right? So nothing about this conversation could ever be like objective. It's just about the way we're having. Meg from Hercules, perfect example. The dominant top energy, 100%. Great example, Discord, right? Chad says, why are we centering white gender roles? I think the next step to deconstruction is not to center gender roles. Why are we centering? Who is the we? We're obviously watching people talk about it on the internet, right? Are you saying we as in us here? Why are we centering white gender roles? What? I think the next step to deconstruction is to not center gender roles. You got to expand on that, bro. What did I say that made you say that? I don't know what you meant by that. I feel like race matters as well to understand why some folks might be upset. 100%, you have to take that into consideration, right? Okay, let's keep going. Guys, expand your comments. I just don't understand what that means in regards to like what we've been talking about in the way that we've been talking about it already. But I'll show you more context for other things people are saying, and then we can have the convo. Okay, here's another one.
Erivo is trying to do what a lot of lesbians do when they're secretly in love with their friends. Pay attention. Especially male identified lesbians. Okay, let's clock that. The girls who are in competition with other men. A lot of them will overcompensate and try to prove that, you know, they're just as strong as a man, and anything you can do, I can do better, face ass. That's what type of time she's on. Like, not all lesbians, but a lot of y'all be on that. Like, let's be so fucking for real. Especially you male identified ones. Like, some of y'all literally will create conflict with a man just to prove that you can fight him and just to prove that you can protect.
If I'm not mistaken, she's talking about the stud mass culture in which they are in competition with men because they forget they aren't men. Like, there is this problem in the lesbian community in which they are obsessed with competing with men for women, which I did encounter my first days in the gay community. So you have to deconstruct that. That's why I say, like, even lesbians center men in their life. They just don't know it. So you do have to deconstruct. But I think that's what she's referring to, right?
The woman, like, it's like I'm talking about from actual real life experience. Like, see, and that's my thing. Like, if somebody really wanted to physically harm Ariana Grande, they could have done it. Like, Cynthia, you are literally a bag of skin and bones. You are literally 100 pounds soaking wet, just the fuck like Ariana Grande's malnourished ass. What are we talking about? So, bitch, if somebody really wanted to like hurt Ariana Grande, which I would hope that they wouldn't, but if they did, your fucking bald-headed scrawny ass wouldn't be able to stop them. Like, be so fucking for real.
Now, I do think Cynthia could punch that guy harder than he could assume because she works out. But I also do agree, she's like quite small and tiny, which is why Black women were upset in the first place, because they were like, hey, Cynthia's really small and tiny. She's also fragile. Yes, but she's not fragile the way Ariana is. Just like I'm not fragile the way Ariana is. But see, I am comfortable in my masculinity because like, I'm not fragile like Ariana. If anything, to be honest with you, I hate it. To be honest with you, I judge it. I do. I judge it. I think it's gross. I don't like it. I don't think it's cute. I'm like really annoyed with grown women who act like babies. I'm like kind of over it. So like, I also don't want to be like Ariana. So all of you in the comments who are like, I want to be my feminine, that's you do you. But I'm not actually interested if my feminine means being taken care of. I don't want to be taken care of. I've already been, I tried that, because I've been so masculinized my whole life and I've been so the caretaker that I went through this phase of saying, I just want to be taken care of. I'm sick of people taking care of, or I'm taking care of everybody else. I just want someone to take care of me. And you know where that led me? Toxic relationships with men who did not respect me and or women who wanted to take care of me at the expense of my joy. And also, now that I'm healthier and on the other side of therapy, I'm back to my independence. Thank you. Yes, my hyper independence was a trauma response when I was a kid and when I was in my 20s, but now it's just where my joy is. Because this idea that I just want someone to take care of me comes from the trauma of being exhausted. And then once you heal that exhaustion and you're no longer exhausted, you don't actually need it. So it's also a temporary desire to be like, I just want someone to take care of me. That is a response to the fact that you are in a bad position, not to represent the rest of your life and what you want it to look like.
Cynthia, girl, mind you, if somebody jumped on stage and tried to like bum rush Cynthia, you think Ariana Grande would jump? You think she would move? No, Ariana Grande would sit in her femininity, okay, in her soft girl energy. Like, it's just so cringy. It really makes me cringe when I see women, especially Black women, rushing to be the protector and rushing to be the bodyguard. Ew. Sit down. Even if you're a lesbian, even if you're masculine presenting, sit down. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's for a white woman. You doing all that for a white woman? You putting yourself in harm's way on the behalf of a white woman? A white woman who literally dresses in blackface? A white woman who literally sleeps with other women's men and doesn't even give a fuck about it? A white woman who dabbles in cultural appropriation? Girl, like, Cynthia, you're so fucking embarrassing, bro.
What do you guys think about that idea, right? Okay, so let me see here. Just for context, let's see. Cynthia's partner was accused of cheating on her ex-wife with Cynthia. Well, Cynthia and her partner only went public with their relationship in May 2022. Some gossip sites speculated without evidence that the two were dating as far back as January 2020. So, while her partner was still married. So that's why Cynthia's relationship was allegedly documented as like being the other woman. I don't know. That's what I've always heard. That's what's been reported. I don't know if, just like with Ariana, if it's ever been technically like yet. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's, because Ariana still hasn't confirmed. It hasn't. We only know Ariana technically had an infidelity scandal because the wife of the guy came out, but that also got her bullied, right? So I don't know. I will say this though. I think the way that Ariana and Cynthia are branding everything is like highly unprofessional and inappropriate. So even if you're hyper affectionate with like your friends, I think like there's too many cameras on you for you to be showing up on interviews, like molesting each other respectfully. Like for me, I feel like I've never really liked them as people or like, as the brand, because it just feels like way too fake. But I do like separate from each other and separate from all the controversies, I respect Cynthia. She's so fucking talented. Like, I love her gym girly, like, skill set. There's so much about Cynthia that is so fucking talented. Separate Ariana. I think she's so fucking talented. I think they're both beautiful people. Like, all of these things, right? But when I tried to view this story, I tried to remember that they are under a microscope, that they are at the end of the day getting paid big bucks to show up and to play roles, right? I don't like the way they kind of confuse people, but I don't like the way any celebrity does this. I don't like the way any celebrity confuses the audience because it makes people talk. Right? So I don't like them as people because I don't know these people. And I also don't like cheaters. And I also don't like homewreckers. And I also don't know if any of these people have any values, right? But just like in general, I'm not a hater, but I'm also not like a fan. But I do enjoy and I recognize the talent. So, and I'm also a queer woman. So it allows me to kind of see what's happening and try to like think, okay, how would someone else have this conversation, right? Chad says saying a black woman shouldn't protect her white friend because she's white also feels racist. Well, hold up. Let's talk about that. Do you think you should, when there is security and there is a threat to someone's life, should you put yourself in harm's way or should you back off and let security handle it? That's the question, right? Because I think the question is, in one way you have to respect Cynthia because she seems like the kind of person who would put a bullet, she would jump in front of a bullet for somebody. In other ways, I think it's probably bad if Cynthia feels she has to do this because it's her responsibility when it certainly is not, right? So is she doing it because it's her ethical expectation? Or is she doing it because it's just who she is as a person? Why isn't security doing their job? First of all, why is this even happening? So then there's that other element where it shouldn't even happen in the first place because security should have been doing their fucking job. Which is why, what do I say about the hero? The hero is a myth by patriarchy to convince men they're good people, right? Why is Cynthia even being put in a position? Because society keeps failing women and failing men. Society keeps failing us. So because they keep failing us, we have to stand up and then all of a sudden she's a hero. But why did she even have to play that role in the first place? Especially since this man ran. Same thing with Emaru. Why does this keep happening to people? Right? So, I'm glad Cynthia is strong. I'm glad she felt good in that moment. I'm glad she did what she thought was right. I'm sorry that Ariana had to go through that. I'm sorry any of them had to go through that, by the way, because, even though he was aiming for Ariana, it was still scary, I think, for everybody there. Right? I think there's something there. But obviously, we don't know the inner workings of these people's lives or their brains or what they're thinking or what they're doing. We don't know anything that's happening. So obviously, the part of it that I think is interesting for me is just to have the conversation about gender and expectation, right? And also to people who said, the gender roles are white. I don't know what that means. Maybe you can expand upon it, right? I don't know what that means. I'm just thinking about it from a patriarchal standard. Are you saying in Black communities, men and women are expected to act different, or in Mexican communities, or I'm not sure what you mean, since I was giving West Asian communities as the example at the time. I'm not sure what you're referencing. Are you saying West Asian people are white? If that's, you can have that opinion. I'm certainly white, you know what I mean? But I don't know what you're referencing. So I'd like to hear some more on that too. Chad says, I don't think Cynthia was thinking or considering anything in the moment, just reacting. That's also a very big part of it, right? Is that she might have just been reflexively biological experience acting, which is another thing that I think is interesting. There's a conversation to be had in certain communities about whether or not men are heroes for jumping on a bomb or if they're actually just moving with their biological experience. So then the myth of the hero becomes even more of a myth, right? You didn't even make the decision. Your body made it for you. You're not a hero. You're an animal in movement, which is very interesting because then we talk about mothers protecting their cubs, and that becomes like an instinct burned into us through evolution because we have to protect our offspring. But also, like, mothers will kill their animal, like kittens and dogs, will kill the puppies and kittens that aren't viable, that are like disabled. They'll eat them sometimes. And so, like, I think about that all the time. Like, I always think, like, this is such a tangent, but is abortion that part of that evolutionary process that dogs and cats naturally do? And then what does that say for ableism in communities, right? Like, there's a whole conversation to be had about this. Like, we should have a deeper, more profound relationship with our biological experience. So then how does that make it that we do things differently, right? Like, differently than those other animal counterparts, right? Chad says, I think this conversation about masculine and feminine seems based on white gender roles. There's no objective masculine and feminine since gender is socially constructed. Yes. What is the example of the white gender role? I don't know what you mean. You're saying it 3 times now, but I don't know what you mean. So I'm literally autistically asking you, what is a white gender role? I don't know what it means. I want to know so badly. I don't know what it means. Let's see, Discord, do you have anything you want to share? Let's see, male identified lesbian, what does that mean? Why isn't she just saying mask? Maybe she's a no. Maybe she means it in a different way. You know, sometimes I say things that are confusing. I don't know, that TikTok. That's not to say that she doesn't have toxic masculinity to unpack. It's just a trope of what that lady is saying if Cynthia doesn't fit. I wonder if they're saying a lot of African culture's femininity doesn't happen in opposition to having more masculine, etc. Oh, I don't know, maybe. White gender role example, strength is masculine, but in black communities, strength is seen as feminine. Is that true? Which black communities? American black communities or global? I don't know. I follow a lot of black content creators, but I think they're very American because I feel like the gender roles they play into is that like black women are forced to play masculine roles, but they don't want to be seen as masculine. Isn't that the whole like Serena Williams conundrum? Right? I've never heard that. And so I'd like to hear about what black community you're a part of or what community. I'm very interested in that, right? Yes, black American communities, really? Interesting. You know what? I see the other black people in my community. You guys can discuss that because I don't want to speak for black communities, but you're saying that's like, it's seeing a little bit of discrepancy here. So maybe it's a bubble difference, which is so valid. Being black isn't a monolithic experience. So maybe it's like a black community that does uphold strength as femininity, which by the way, strength can be femininity. Wait, pause. No. Don't misquote me. I did say that strength can be feminine. I'm talking about masculine presenting strength, which is different. So like you can be strong and feminine, but to masculine present the strength is different, right? So wait, hold on. Don't misquote me because I did say that. I made sure to say that. I'm talking about specifically like masculine presenting strength is masculine and feminine presenting strength is feminine, right? But if women like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe let me know. I'm happy to clarify. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Okay, here's another TikTok.
This is a cover. So let's get into Cynthia Erivo's cover for the British Men of the Year issue. I have to read that because I'm like, what? This is making me want to collect magazines again. I feel like there's so many great editorials that have been.
Ugh, I used to collect magazines too. Examples, Katara is feminine strength, but Toph is masculine strength. Yeah, right? Chat says, yes, not exactly like Sinners. The female lead was what you could describe as masculine woman, but she was within the white context of media. What? No. The lead romantic female lead in Sinners was feminine strength and only was, in what part of her was masculine? Am I crazy? Wait. Sinners, female lead. She was she was bigger, which was like interesting, but like she was strong, but I wouldn't describe her. She wasn't dainty. Like maybe like you could argue the masculine. I guess you could argue the strength feels masculine because it's strong, but I would argue like it's femme mask. If at all, but mostly it's just femme strong, right? But I could see the you're saying in comparison to the daintiness, maybe because she's got wider like shoulder. Like if she worked out her is this traps? If she worked this out, she'd be like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But ultimately, like she's pretty femme present, but she's not dainty. Are we associating daintiness with femininity and masculinity? Because I'm trying not to do that because I don't think that's necessarily true. Here's another picture. Let me see. Yeah, it's giving femme, bros. It's not giving dainty, and it's not giving bottom. She's not a bottom. Okay, yeah, she's giving mother strong. So I'm not thinking mother strong can be seen as masculine, but in energy, not presentation. Okay, stay with me here. You could argue mother strong can feel like, okay, but hold up. Wait for this. Here's another example of mother strong, but in her high femininity. Do we all know this queen? Do we all know this queen? Okay, like high feminine, mother strong. Okay, very toppy energy. Her husband, very bottom energy. This is Ponyo. This is Ponyo's parents. Okay, father bottom, mother top. Okay, so that's okay. So from this energy though, I was getting mother strong, feminine, And you could argue, but like I wasn't thinking very strong masculine energy for her. I was thinking very toppy energy for her though. But I can see why Mother Strong, yeah, chat. I can see why Mother Strong can be perceived as masculine. And it can be, I consider myself a mother, but I consider my energy like masculine mother. Personally, I do not view myself as feminine mother. I view myself as masculine mother. So I can see how people might disagree with that, but I'm definitely masculine mother energy. I am not feminine. If you call me feminine mother energy, I will feel very unseen. I'm like, oh, I like, yes, like it's beautiful and it's lovely, but I do not see myself this way. You know what I mean? Like this is beautiful and this is lovely, but I don't like see myself this way. I see myself much more masculine mother. And so I wouldn't identify with her. Like I just wouldn't identify with her because like, you know what I mean? Chat says, Brittany, why do all these labels matter? Sometimes I find this categorization exhausting within the LGBT community. We're trying to feel seen and we're trying to feel understood, and it doesn't matter to you, but I think it matters to me. Like if I'm dating somebody, if my husband, if my wife saw me as the wrong categorization, I would feel very unseen. So the fact that my partner gender reaffirms me every day, that I am mother, that I am he, that I am him, is very, very important to my psychological welfare. Like it's very important to me that my partner sees that I'm a man and that I am a man who's not like, again, this is very nuanced because it's so intimate and it's very specific to conversations, but it's only as important as it is to you. It might not be that important to you. And it wasn't always important to me in the same way, right? I've gone on a gender deconstruction journey. I've gone on this journey, right? Okay. Chaz, seeing her as masculine instead of mother is the masculinization of Black women. I think that is very true. I think that's very, very true. Definitely. Yeah. Because listen, my grandma, my Nana, was a bigger woman with very big breasts. And she was very, and I say this for a reason because it's important. Hold up. Okay. She was always sweating and always cooking and always hugging and always so she would grab us and squeeze us in her body, and then it was always like you felt like you were in an anime being enveloped by like the local witch, and then she'd be like feed you, and she was always sweating and she was always, you know, just like cooking, and she was always at the kitchen, and there's something so motherly about, there's something so feminine about that. But maybe if somebody saw my grandma, they'd say she's masculine, but I don't think so. It's very feminine. Like it's very mother energy. It's very like, just like there's a bigness to her that was just so like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I would never describe my grandma as masculine, but maybe somebody would say that because she wasn't in makeup and heels and wasn't like, performing femininity. Right. But yeah, there's something about like, so I think there's something about this woman here that's very similar to me, where if she ever had the chance to grow old, which she doesn't get the chance to, she maybe would have been that grandma, which I never would have described as masculine. I would have described as like warm and feminine and enveloping and matriarch vibes. Now, leadership can be seen as masculine because that's how the West demonizes women and keeps them subservient, right? They'll say like, oh, being a leader is so masculine. You don't want to be masculine, do you? You want to be feminine, right? You want to be like Ariana Grande, like, right? Which is not what Cynthia's role is. Cynthia is in interviews being like, hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo. I really like being a witch. And oh my God, I'm so hungry. Like, that's not what Cynthia's role is in the world, girls. You know, that's Ariana's new personality. Ariana now is like, hi, I'm Ariana Grande. And, you know, that's like how she is. Okay, girl, so like we can see that as like feminine versus masculine, which in certain categorizations it is. It can be. You know what I mean? Okay, in certain categorizations, sure. But is it good? Is it healthy? I don't know about that. Okay, let's go back to this.
Releasing like alone this week, like it's so many, and it's making me want to start collecting these magazines. Cynthia looks so good, and as I said before in all of my other videos on Cynthia, Black was made for her. Like Black is her color. Like hello, her looking at herself, like sick. Side profile, sick. Earring stack, sick. Givenchy shades, sick. This spread is everything. I feel like if they ever do like a Matrix reboot, she needs to be in it.
True.
Matrix, Blade, whenever they decide to remake or finish making that movie, Cynthia needs 100% to be in it. Like, she needs to be in something where she's wearing all black. I mean, this is sick. And she was styled by Patty Wilson for this spread. And yeah.
And by the way, she looks this way because she works out. She looks this way because she does muscle work. The clothes fit different when you work out. That's why she's so good at pulling it off. She looks exactly, she's so complimentary for the aesthetic because she works out.
Nailed it. She's an actress. She's a singer. She's a model. She's a cover star. She's a bodyguard for Ariana. Like, it's so much. Like, it's so much. She does everything. She's a woman of class, grace, beauty. This is a cover. I fear I have to stand. I fear.
Okay, now people were like, what do you think? Why do you think Ariana changed that much?
It's really nice. It's very nice. It's always so nice to meet somebody who is so successful and who's so humble and so down to earth and nice and generous and welcoming. Going back and forth between Pharrell's production and Ilya's production and Tommy's production makes the individual, like, the flavor is so much richer. I was trying to ask Victoria earlier. I was like, when did this happen? Because I don't remember it. Like, it was such a blur. I think because of like emotions, and then also
wait, Chad said the whiteification of Ariana needs to be studied. Ariana is white. No, the blackification of Ariana needs to be studied. She is white. I did not think she was white either, but I learned she was white. I did not know either because I thought she was like something. I was like, Ariana has to be something because I saw this Ariana. She did not get whitified. She got blackified. She is white. I know.
Like champagne. I don't remember when it started or how we got there. I know that things started getting tough.
Oh, Discord said because blackness isn't profitable right now. Listen to me when I say my Discord brought this up. It was so important. Oh, Chad says it's a joke. I know she's white. Oh, my bad. My Discord brought this up a while back. It's so important. You should question why you go blonde. You should question why Ariana has gone as blonde as she looks because you know it's not cute. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to judge what people look like, but I looked at her. I was like, why are you blonde? It doesn't compliment you at all. Like, you literally don't look good. Like, she's beautiful, so she looks beautiful whatever she does. But I don't think it looks as good as she could look with darker hair. And so my brain is like, why did you go blonde? It feels so fucking obviously like this administration, this whole thing, right? Chet says Glinda has to be. Nah. That's too easy of an escape. Sure. But also, let's see after this movie, she goes back outside of blonde. Because she doesn't, you know how some people really stick to a color that isn't like for them in a sense. Like, girls, if you ever think my red is not for me, I will, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to cling to something just because I'm used to it. I want to actually like enhance and like feel good in myself. Now, I love my red. I've been red for a long time because there's natural redhead in my family. But I just know I would look horrible blonde. If I went blonde, I would look so bad. And the only reason I would go blonde, hear me out, is to appeal to something, some bubble, something. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I go blonde? You know, now I'm not saying you can't go blonde. I'm not saying you shouldn't go blonde. I'm not saying, you know, blonde isn't cute, bleach isn't cute. I'm saying, why did you do it? I think I would do it just to feel like what life is like as a blonde. Because I hear blondes really do have more fun. I hear white supremacy is so real that if you go blonde, you just absolutely get treated better. And I was like, damn. That's crazy. I've never had that experience. I've never been blonde.
Creating something where you're like, is this for me or is this for people? And this was one that I think was kind of on the line. I didn't know. But then
it's nice. Like,
oh, there it is. This is the big change. Look at this
reaction to it.
Yeah, in life. But also it just made this so much richer. Like, it made coming home to music feel so much better. And I think
this was it. This was the beginning.
Balance is something that I'm really going to want to maintain moving forward. I think it's just nice. Like,
her voice changed. She went softer. She was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, this was the interview that people were like, oh my God, who is this?
Little Ari was so fed and fulfilled and thankful for this experience. It was really.
And so this was it. So again, like, why did she change and go through this? Obviously, like, the role she was fulfilling, the persona she's putting on, she might actually be sick. So just remember this. She might actually be dying. We do not know what's happening in this woman's life. Okay? She actually might have cancer. So we have to remember that, right? We just have to be respectful.
I looked up your sign, but I didn't look up compatibility because I have Capricorn friends. I know the compatibility well.
Our girl is on a journey, okay? So again, it's not to say that, oh, why does this happen? Who knows? She's in Hollywood. She's pulling, you know, she who knows what she's going through. But the point is like, we use real people's lives to learn about ourselves. So what can we learn from watching these things to learn more about ourselves? That's the question. Okay, that's why these labels and these conversations are important, because it's all going to come full circle to us. You know what I mean? Like learning about ourselves. Next TikTok. Oh, hold on. It says, why are we masculizing Cynthia as if she ain't dating a whole ass stud and has always presented femme? Okay.
No, because it doesn't matter, but at the same time, it kind of does. The way that you guys have automatically given Cynthia Erivo the masculine male role and your little fake lesbian relationship between her and Ariana is kind of weird. And I do kind of take notice. And like, I don't know, the way you guys are treating Cynthia, even in this little, like, you know, long-standing joke, that is kind of funny, low-key. They do, you know, Edie, you know, it is kind of funny. But at the same time, as a Black lesbian, seeing her automatically get the mantle of protector as if she's not I feel like we're forgetting, Cynthia's actively dating a stud. What do you mean she's the man? Like,
okay, but hold up. Can you not be a protector and a femme? And can you not be a protector and it obviously feels like in some situations masculine? Like, I agree. Let me just say this right now. I'm not disagreeing with Black women. I am agreeing. Especially with Black gay women. I'm agreeing. And not but, and we ship totally straight men together and make fan fiction. Not me. I'm not one of them. But the world literally makes fan fiction out of completely straight men and then decides that like Harry would be pegged by Malfoy. Are we that surprised that a woman protecting another woman didn't become a fan fiction of everyone's fantasy of her being a protector? You know what? It just feels like fan fiction. It feels like people were just like, oh my God, Cynthia, protect me. You know, I think that's like people. Okay, I'm going to be real. I think people are horny and people are getting off to it. I think it's people's sexual fantasy. Oh my God, Cynthia, protect me. You know what I mean? Because no, like people like Cynthia. They love her. They don't care about her wife. They don't care about this. You know what I'm saying? They like Cynthia. They want Cynthia to protect them. They want Cynthia to use her muscles. They don't give a fuck about Ariana. They don't give a fuck about her. They want Cynthia. And why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they?
I don't know. I don't know. The way that you guys are treating Cynthia is just making me remember why so many.
And actually, can I just tell you this? That objectification is what we should be questioning. Why are we literally, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are we fantasizing so hard about celebrities to the point where, like, because the meme is funny. Yeah, the internet did this with what's his name too, and I didn't like it. Pedro Pascal, whatever his name is. Girl, you better be 15. Okay, if you were looking at thirst cams, you better be 15 years old. Okay, you better be 19 at most. Okay, because I can tell you this 36-year-old person right here is not paying attention to any of these things. 36-year-old Brittany is certainly not watching thirst cams or whatever. Okay, so if you're, you know what I mean? Like, I think this is just young people obsessed with a fantasy. But also, I love this conversation because I love talking about, like, what is masculine, what is feminine, like, what is what.
Black lesbians like myself usually only date other Black lesbians because usually only Black women know how to not automatically over-masculinize Black women. Because being protective doesn't, I don't know. They're both 100 pounds. They're both 100 pounds. It's not like, they like, I don't know. I'm taking notice. It's kind of weird. It's funny, but it's kind of like, it's funny, haha. But then when you think about it too much, you're like, you know, like, why can't Ariana be the protector? Why can't, like...
We know why she can't be the protector, girl. Come on. That's what I'm saying. Come on, girls. We know why Ariana can't be the protector. We do know this. And it's not just because she's white. It's because a baby could take her in a fight. That's why. Okay, a baby could take Ariana Grande in a fight. Let's be so for real. What is she gonna do with this new personality she has? This whole personality she has? She can't take a baby in a fight. Maybe past Ariana, dancing Ariana could do it. Okay, Ariana be like, I saw it, I punched it. You know what I mean? I don't know, but like this Ariana, she could.
I don't know. Like there's just as much evidence to make Ariana the masked lesbian in that relationship, but for some reason Cynthia is.
No, I disagree. Come on, Ariana's not. I totally disagree. This feels like cope. There is nothing about Ariana that screams protector. Come on, Ariana. You know, I just feel like that feels like a cope.
We don't know that reason, or do we? Or do we? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just suspicious.
But I agree with everything else. I just disagree that Ariana could ever, the brand could change. We would have to brand so severely Ariana. We would have to do another thing, right? Right? Chet says there's nothing about Cynthia either that would be a protector. I already showed it. Yes, there is. She literally works out at the gym. She's literally muscular. She literally shows herself off. Like, you know what I mean? She literally dresses like, I mean, even the photo shoot she did for GQ is much more mask than it is femme. Like, there is, you know what I mean? Cynthia literally makes it her job to be toppy with Ariana at every point. If anything, honestly, they better all be in an open relationship. Because let me just tell you this. If I was Cynthia's wife, I would be fucking suspicious. I'd be like, hi, are you cheating on me? With peace and love. Like the way Cynthia touches Ariana, protects Ariana. Guys, if I'm on a date with a woman and she puts her hand on my neck, she is now the top. She is now masculine. She is now in her masculine. If I'm on a date with a woman and she is pegging me, she is in her masculine. Do you see how that works? If you got the strap on, unless you're a bottom. One time I did strap for a top. Okay. One time I was dating this girl, Cash. It was fucks with, it was kind of fucky, but whatever. And she was older. She was in a position of dominance, but she made me fuck her with the strap on, which was very toppy of her because she was telling me how to fuck her. Do you see how that works? She was topping from the le bottom. But in presentation, I was much more masculine than her, but I was a bottom at the time. And she was much more femme, but she was the top. But she was very masculine in the dungeon because she would step on people with her boots. But she was very feminine, very soft, did not work out, big boobs, very, bigger lady. Okay. So she was masculine in her energy, not her aesthetic. But Cynthia's both. Muscles just gives this masculine aura, which I love. So, Chet says, what makes topping masculine? With peace and love, girls, I just need to look at my wife a certain way and she crumbles. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes a look can be masculine. A look can be dominating. A look can be like, you know what I'm saying? All I need to do is look. And it's like putty in my hands. And we would describe that as being in my masculine. Okay? So I feel like, you know what I mean? It's just a conversation to have around the energy you're exhibiting. And again, it's not an insult to be masculine. It's only an insult if it maybe feels like dehumanizing. But if it's something you want, if it's something you're aiming for, it's just a compliment. And everybody is masculine and feminine, period. Everybody. The question is to what degree and in what spirit? Your energy or your aesthetic? Your energy, your aesthetic, both. Okay? Right? So then, okay. One more video. Let me show you this one.
So fucking annoying. Like, so fucking annoying. You guys are so fucking annoying. Like, so fucking annoying. Finding an issue with Cynthia trying to protect Ariana because this random man jumped over the barricade to touch her. And now y'all are saying that this is the masculization of black women. First of all, I thought y'all...
Hold on. Wait. Chat says, why is domination masculine when the animal world females are dominant all the time? Because being a female doesn't mean you're feminine. What does a female have to do with femininity? You can be a male and be feminine. You guys see where your gender deconstruction isn't happening here? Hello? What does being a woman have to do with femininity? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I didn't even like Cynthia Erivo. I thought y'all didn't even fuck with the lady, right? She decided to help her friend, which what the fuck could Cynthia even do? All she did was kind of shoo the man away. They're both pretty fucking frail. You know what I'm saying? So to turn this into like, oh my gosh, like, why is she acting like that? She's being like, this is a woman that's in the public eye. And I'm not saying that Cynthia is not in the public eye, but we know that it's different. But she's a major pop star, and anybody that knows about Ariana's history knows how difficult that must have been for her to feel fucking helpless. What was she supposed to do? Like, y'all are making it seem like she should have done this and that. No, that man should have never got close to her and invade her private space. She got fucking harassed, assaulted even. And y'all want to turn this into, and Cynthia was man of the year. Okay, like, do you think that's not something that she wanted to do? Like, y'all are making it seem like people are not active in the lives that they choose. And to turn around and sit there and blame Cynthia, like, clearly they have a connection. That's her friend. Y'all have no issue with your homegirl is not built like that. So you do something for your friend who's not built like that. But when you see Cynthia and Ariana, it's an issue. Y'all are fucking bored. You're bored. And you're stretching and reaching for thin air. Talk about, well, if it was Ariana, would she have done the same? We don't fucking know, because that didn't happen. Y'all are fucking annoying. Like, leave people alone. Like, y'all dissect everything. Y'all not even talking about the man who jumped over the barricade and invaded the
Obviously, I think we could guess that Ariana wouldn't do the same. Probably because she, in this instance, couldn't even defend herself because she froze because of her PTSD and everything, right? So, like, at the end of the day, and not everyone's the same. Listen, I'll tell you a story. In chat, just for the record, everything we're saying is subjective language based off the bubble. Okay, guys, I'm speaking to a general audience right now. I don't know where you're coming from. None of these things are objective. Yes, lock in. Nothing we're saying is objective. Femininity, masculinity, man, woman, none of those things are real. They're arbitrary constructs we create to communicate with one another. Yes? So when I'm sharing my bubble perspective. When you're sharing your bubble perspective. Nothing is right or wrong except to say against the bubble's construct. Okay? So you're not going to sit here and say like, well, a man is this and a woman is this. Okay? That's what I say to that. Now, I'll tell you a story. One day, I was having sushi with my siblings, as one does, and we all came in separate cars. And my sister and I were ready to leave. And I said, okay, we're heading out. Okay? So my sister and I head out to the parking lot and we're walking. And all of a sudden, we hear these like heavy, fast footsteps behind us and someone's running at us. My sister, without even looking behind her, she starts screaming. She just runs. She doesn't even look back. She does not ask me if I'm behind her. She just says, fuck all y'all, and runs, okay? I threw my keys in my fingers, had them like a blade, and I turned around and I went like this. And my brother was like, yo! She was like, what? And he was like, what are you trying to do? I was like, don't come up on people. Like, you can't run up on people like that. And then he was like, why are you trying to kill me? I was like, you don't run up on people like that. Okay, my sister runs. I stay to fight. Fun fact, who's more likely to die? Me, because I'm stupid and I think I'm tough and strong and I can take people. Okay? Because I'm a chihuahua who thinks she's a bulldog. Okay? And so I should have run. I should have been with my sister and be like, I'm out. I should have ran. Okay? But I didn't. And so honestly, I'm lucky it was my brother, because God knows I would not have won that fight. Okay? Thank you. Okay, but she ran. I had never, gosh, when we were over the heat of it, we've never laughed so hard in our life, but we were not laughing exactly at the time. But when it was all over, I was like, I can't believe you just left me like that. And she was like, anyways, the point is, who knows what people will do in the moment? You know, who knows? Okay. In the same way, I don't want you to feel like, and I'm going to be so serious right now, that if you're tough and go to the gym and take classes, when you're assaulted or raped, you might not freeze. Whatever happens, happens. You can only prepare so much and you can only process so much. And the reality is, until you are surrounded by 20,000 people or whatever it was, and one lunatic comes across a security and breaks in and starts to tackle your friend, you will not know what you will do. You just will not know what you will do. And so it is what it is. Okay. I think sometimes in these conversations, we might internalize this idea that I'm tough, I'm strong, I can handle shit. And then when we are assaulted or we are robbed or we are scammed, it rocks our sense of self. It certainly rocked my sense of self, right? So be, in the safety of your home, feel as masculine as you want to feel, but being masculine isn't enough to take on a bad person who wants to take advantage of you. Because masculinity isn't about action. It's about presentation and energy and feeling, which, yes, I know you might think of as action, but the implication under patriarchy and misogyny that masculinity will save you in times of struggle is flawed. Masculinity will not save you if the person coming at you is bigger and stronger. Masculinity will not save you if what you need in that moment is femininity. Masculinity will not save you if in that moment you need to be genderless, okay? Or energyless, neutral. So again, this whole conversation is a good one to remind us of our own life, but to remember that we don't know what these people are thinking, we don't know what they're going through, and we could never have understood that situation, right? Like we could never have really understood that situation for what it was, but I'm glad Ariana's okay. I'm glad that person didn't hurt anybody. And even though I think he emotionally hurt people and he was arrested and I think let go, I hope there's some consequence to his actions. But, okay? Any last minute thoughts on this topic, guys? What do you think? Discord said, I feel like Emma Roberts could have been standing next to Ariana, and if she had the same level of affection as Cynthia, people would just be shipping them together and have Emma is the protector role because of how frail Ariana looks, honestly. Ariana does look incredibly frail. Just like incredibly frail. I wouldn't, even though Cynthia is small, I would not describe her as frail. So then she naturally gets, just like my sister and I. My sister and I, she gets painted as the more femme sister or the more girl, and I'm more of the boy. So when we're together, I'm more masculine and dominant and toppy when we're just interacting as friends and we're in public. But my sister isn't. But that doesn't mean my sister and I don't, we could be wearing the same outfit. Listen to me when I say this. We could have the same hairdo and the same outfit and people would still clock me as more masculine. Partially because my energy. Everyone always says this. My sister says this. When I walk into a room, I command. Like, I don't like, people just like notice me. Okay. And a big part of it is when I walk into a room, I am fearless. Fearless 99% of the time. Okay. Sometimes I'm not in that energy and I walk into a room and I'm like, oh, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. You know what I mean? But most of the time when I walk into a room, it's like clear who's in charge. Even in sibling dynamics, right? So again, it depends on what energy you bring to a room, right? Tiger, welcome to memberships. Chad says alpha energy. I hate the word alpha thing, but for this conversation, not alpha, because I'm not even the alpha. When it's like, I'm not actually the top dog. I'm just the toughest dog, but I'm not the top dog. I'm the toughest dog. I'm the reinforcer. I'm the muscle without having muscle. You know what I mean? Chad says, do you know why you default to that? It's my mother energy. I'm mother. I am mother, like period, right? That's just, I've been that way since I was a child. I have always been the person who like stood up for people, who like caused, like, hey, you can't talk to her like that, or hey, you can't do that. Like called people out. Like I've always been the girl like people come to for like safety or protection or whatever else. Like that's just the role that I've played since I was a kid. And I think that's a part of my natural energy. That's just who I am. Yeah, Chad says Bernie is mother, as the kids say. Yeah, like I am that energy, but the aesthetic changes, the way I present changes, how much of my trauma can change things. Like I'm like, guys, if I'm really fucked up and I'm really triggered and I'm autistically like triggered, I'm certainly not mother. I'm usually like, I hurt and I don't want to do anything. And I also have moments, please, where I'm like, oh my God, I don't even want to exist in my body. Like, but that's why we play different roles at different times. Okay. So it's not like I don't have moments. I do have moments. Okay. I'm just a girl. And also it can depend, chat, like who's around in the situation. Cause sometimes like, as an example, I remember my brother and my sister-in-law and I were together and we were talking about like home invasions or like if there's a bear or if there's a mountain lion because they live out in the wild. And I said, okay, so obviously brother is top dog, then me, then sister-in-law, right? Because ultimately there's a hierarchy to the how the energy shows up. But if brother-in-law isn't there, now it's me. And if I'm not there, she's in charge. But why am I more in charge than my sister-in-law? Not because she's not the mother of the house. She's like femme mask. So she's masculine in the sense that she works on a farm and she's strong, but she's femme in the sense that like she would protect her kids, but like I'm a man about it. And I don't mean man in the binary. Remember, when I say man, I don't mean cishet man. That's not what I'm saying when I say man. Okay? But I know that's really hard because like the language we're using is like, guys, the word man could mean 72,000 things based off the bubble. So again, when you're listening to me or we're having these conversations, you need to hear the word and then process like in which ways are we talking about these things? And which is why when people talk, I go, ooh, what do you mean by that? You know, what do you mean by that? Right? Because these things are different, right? Chad says we need more words, but I know exactly what you mean. Exactly. It's like, I know we don't have enough words, but if you're around certain groups long enough, you'll start to pick up on what words mean, the tone in people's voices when they use it, like how words are different in different bubbles, you know, and that's why I think everything is bubbled. Like we're not all having the same conversations because of this, right? Chad says, is it almost like a leader and a follower? Yeah, kind of in a sense. Like I will say that I don't want to be the leader. I don't want to be the top dog. I don't want to be alpha. I don't want any of that energy. I do not want to be in charge. Go fuck off. But when shit hits the fan, you can come to me because I'm reliable. Again, I want to be the witch in the woods that you come to when shit hits the fan. I do not want to be out here leading armies. My brother, he's an army leader. He wants to lead, like he's like that role of like, I'll lead the army. I'm not that. I do not want to lead your army. But if you need me and you call me, like I'll show up.